Hello and welcome to the creaking salt-soaked tables of the Brazen Hydra pub in Bilgewater. We're your hosts and Grovand,
Conquest.
and today we'll be sharing a pint and talking all things Runeterra and beyond. And so there are some big topics today. I think we want to talk 2xKO. We have not talked 2xKO enough. It's a game we're both excited about. We should talk RIOT MMO Raid Bosses as promised. We're going to talk the RIOT MMO Raid Bosses of which raid boss we think would come from each zone. We'll talk living in a post-Riot Forge world, what that looks like and what that feels like. It doesn't feel very good, does it? No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
no,
At
I,
least
I
for
I have
me,
to
it
agree with you
really
there.
doesn't.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah,
not having that constant new title around the corner that takes place in Runeterra is, yeah, it's definitely a bit of a bummer for sure. But we still got stuff coming.
yeah. And we got a question from a viewer who wants us to talk a little bit about main character story quests, special equipment powers, competitiveness, and you making your character feel unique, and maybe how the Riot MMO can do that. We'll go through that at the end. But
Ooh,
first, let's
okay, I
talk
like that
2xKO.
actually. All right, let's see. So 2xKO, I feel like news-wise has slowed down a bit. I'm guessing
Oh
it's
yeah.
because they're at a point where like the marketing is out there. They probably feel like they've done their job at this point, and at this late into development, leading up to launch, it's like there's not much more reason to be pushing out anything newsworthy, except for I'm hoping we get more characters still before launch, right?
Yeah, there was a pretty big spike like during the Evo Japan, and after that, you're right. It's been pretty silent. Like I haven't heard other than I'm following them on like the social media, so you get like the random posts saying, "We're look at this character doing some cool stuff." I'm like, "Great, I just want to play." But that's really all
Yeah.
it's been. And you're right, the character roster, like I like the character roster right now. But you know what I want to see from Runeterra, especially in 2xKO, is them to show off more of like the unique characters. Like, okay, we have Darius, he's a human. You have who else do you have? Let me pull up the roster. You have Darius, okay, you have Echo, he's a human. You have Ari, she's a Vastaya who looks human aside from her ear and tails. And I never know whether she has 5 fingers or 3 fingers, but in Rune King she has 3, which I thought was better than the 5.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was better. It makes
Wow.
her look less human. Yasuo, who's a
Yeah, I
human,
agree.
and Elawi, who's a human. Like, bro, throw Maokai in there. You know, give me a tree. Throw
Oh no,
throw
I
something
completely
crazy
agree. Because
like
yeah, I mean, like
Nasus.
just look at the roster of League of Legends. Like I feel like if you pull up the league roster of champions and you click on a random hero, like yeah, there's
Yeah,
definitely like a solid chance they'll be human, but there's also a very solid chance that they'll be something else entirely, right? Like
bro,
a
give
good
me a
chunk of the league
crocodile. Give me
roster is just
Renekton. I'll be
random.
happy.
Yeah, it's just dude, give me the Troll King. I know he's probably like way
Yes.
bigger than everyone else, but like give me Trundle. Oh, dude, I
Oh
love
damn.
Trundle.
See, that would be
Actually,
awesome.
I love Trundle so much. What a guy. That's probably like the World of Warcraft in me because I feel he's just such like he is a big burly troll, and I think it's fantastic.
I couldn't do Trundle's lore before because there wasn't enough. There really isn't any footage of him. There's one shot of Trundle and he's facing Rise for like 3 seconds. That's all you have. And so I could never do a lore video. But now that I'm ripping the League of Legends models from the game and like using
Oh
those and
yeah, dude.
animating them, I might be able to do a video on Trundle
Dude, yeah,
and
Trundle.
get like
Honestly,
two
I'd
views.
like
No one, I feel like people don't know Trundle.
all two Trundle fans.
Yeah, Trundle, Trundle.
Finally. Oh my god, he's so cool. Wait, I'm looking at his skins in League right now. He has a baseball skin.
Oh
Dude
yeah.
has like a buddy cop skin. I forget how yeah, this sure is a very like Runeterra is a world that should be taken like, pretty seriously by like the writers at least. But then you go to League and like I'm guessing like honestly most other most other Riot titles out like that aren't so enveloped in Runeterra. And yeah, you're gonna get freaking baseball Trundle. Like there he is.
I hope we get that in 2xKO too. I'm sure we will. Honestly, I think that's
Oh,
where
we'll
we're
get
free. I
skins. I
suppose
believe it.
it's going to be free to play, but then you're going to have like the different skins for the characters for sure.
I mean, honestly, that's the way to do it these days. Look at like I mean, a total offshoot, but I was a fan of the competitive title Gigantic back in the day.
Still a
That
fan.
game
It's a
died,
great game.
came back. Oh, it's still a great game. I still play it, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Came back recently. Biggest mistake they did was putting a down price on it. That it's just $20 flat. There's no in-game purchases, so like there's no
Yeah,
reason
it's
for
a
them to do like
mistake.
content updates. Yeah, it was a massive blunder on their part. So I fully expect Riot. They are like the kings of free to play, right? Like they practically invented free to play with in-game purchases with League
Yeah.
of Legends, right? Like that was a big deal at the time. They were the first people to really successfully push that out and make it something big. So I'm fully expecting 2XKO to follow that formula too. Of we're gonna see new characters as the game goes on that you can purchase, and hopefully we're gonna see skins because I don't know. I love the idea of like all right, like I'm playing as what's his face's Echo, right? But my Echo's different from your Echo because I like Echo when he's in a baseball skin. Okay, I like
Yeah,
baseball
he's like
Echo.
the ultimate easy win baseball skin. Just give him a bat. It makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Right, like it just adds a little more personality to your team. I feel like this is the Echo I play. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's neat. More than just like color palette swaps, just
I,
a little more personality.
100%. I really love like the art style of 2XKO. I'm super excited to play it. I think me and you are both gonna play it. Yeah, like
Oh
100% we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
play.
I'm absolutely gonna
I
run it.
think
Yeah.
we'll definitely run a twos team. We'll record it. Like when we talk about it when we're playing, we'll have like the footage in the background. I did hear a rumor that it's not coming out till 2025 though now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, this is a
Which is
launch that like, this game, just like any other 2D fighter out there, it's like it'll either be stuck with a very like, niche community, which is honestly I think that's the strongest possibility with a lot of these kind of 2D fighters, or
yeah.
it could become something that we're going to see at Evo every year for the next decade, you know?
Yeah.
And they
I
need to
think
make
that's
sure they do
most
this
likely.
launch right because that's an important part of it. That's an important part of which path they're going to go down.
Yeah.
Is
I
that the
think it is
game
going to be
feels good,
2025
it's
and then the
balanced, all that.
beta, like the multi beta that hopefully we're going to get into that we signed up for will be this year. That's how it's
Yeah,
going to
I,
work.
I I think for sure beta this year. I'd be very surprised if we don't see a beta until 2025 because
Yeah, I
I
got it
really
right
like.
here. 2025 for sure. It says according to executive producer Tom Cannon, 2XKO will release in 2025. So I think it's the beta this year. Hopefully one of us get into it so we can test some stuff out and then
Yeah.
we'll play in 2025 when the releases.
Wow. Okay. I mean, like gameplay wise, like it seems like the game is there for the most part. I
Right?
wonder if it's like content or if they're still making changes. Maybe it's net code. Who knows, really? But I guess they need that extra time to make sure they have a smooth launch. Because like I said, a smooth launch for a competitive title is like extremely important, right?
Yeah, but
You're
there's
you're
literally
gonna
people
lose
playing
players
it.
that'll never come back if the game is not polished and like running smoothly on launch and not like
Yeah.
balanced and fun. There's a lot to consider.
Maybe that's what it is, balancing. I'm sure they're working on I do not think that they're going to release with 5 characters. I think they're going to release with
Yeah, no, I doubt it.
like
I would hope like
7 or something
10
like
at
that.
least.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
even
Okay,
closer to
7.
10.
Yeah,
7
I
to
would think
10,
like
like
10.
definitely more. We're going to get more. I think who did I know? Oh, well, hold on. We know for sure a couple that are coming. So we have Darius,
Oh, yeah, there were a
guaranteed. He's
couple
out.
like
Echo. Yeah,
yeah.
Ari, Yasuo, Elawi, Jinx. We've literally seen Jinx in a gameplay trailer footage. So she's definitely
Yeah.
going to be a character. And then there was one more that we saw, like it was in a photo. She's from Noxus. Let me see what it was. I don't remember when I see her. She's dating Garen on the side. Katarina. We saw like when they were doing some like they had a picture of someone working on the game and they had Katarina on the screen. Like they were working on her character. So I would say that that's another guaranteed. Not guaranteed. That one's a bit more iffy, but most likely you'll see Katarina.
Yeah, well, I mean, like that's like if they're already like having footage of her, yeah, she's either going to be base game or DLC later, but either way, she'll be in the game
I'll say this
because
though, both human.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, I personally would not play either of them, but you know, That's cool. Yordle win. I feel like a Yordle's inevitable, right? Like even if they're worried about like like one common issue you'll see in competitive titles is that small characters have smaller hurt boxes, you know? And they're
Yeah.
typically the speedy type of character, unless of course we're getting Poppy, in which case I hope she's like just
Why
freaking
the heck don't we
sluggish
have a
wielding around
Yordle
a
yet?
giant hammer. But anyways, yeah, that I feel like there could be a fear of Yordles being you know, small. But even if that's the case, right? We got what's his name in the big mech, dude. Oh my god, what's the name of that
Uh
Yordle?
oh, you're talking about Rumble? The Yordle?
Rumble. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like if they're worried about Yordles like having like a size difference, you know, and that being really annoying to balance around and making sure that like, you know, taller players can hit them and stuff like that. Dude, just put in Rumble, give him a mech, make him freaking huge. Actually make him the
But
biggest character. I'd be cool with that.
But they
Give us a
always do that
Yordle.
stuff. Look at Super Smash Bros. Like you have Donkey Kong, who's a big character. Okay, sure, he's a bigger hitbox, but also he has like a wider swing, Versus Mario, okay, I'm smaller, but I have to get in close. Like I don't have the range that DK has. Link has a bigger hitbox than Mario, but he's got a freaking sword, so he's got more reach, but he's slower. Like I feel like you can compensate for having a smaller character. Freaking Pikachu. That makes me think of a Yordle. Just he's tiny, he's fast, but yeah, he has to get in close to do damage and he's
Yeah,
fast
like
but he doesn't do as much damage.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like in the case of Smash, like or like even like just most platform fighters, they usually just end up scaling the characters, right? Like I feel like Pikachu should not be that big compared to Donkey Kong, but honestly, they're not that like I feel like they're not that far apart in size when you look in Smash. Right? Like the
Yeah,
Pikachu is smaller, but like
not
not so
that
much smaller
much.
that would make a difference. Yeah. I like that that's usually the case with platform fighters. In the case of
You don't
like
want to scale up a
I
Yordle,
think
it'd
of
be
Dragon Ball
scary.
Fighters. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think in the case of like Dragon Ball Fighters, there was an issue for a really long time. Actually, not even a really long time. It was like 2 seasons, I think, or maybe even one, where small characters were hard meta because there was certain tech that they had access to that other people can't, or rather, other taller people had disadvantages that the small characters could take advantage of.
You think they're
So
playing with a
like freaking
Yordle? They
like
got
Kid
Timo in the game and
Goku,
he's crushing
Krillin.
everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I genuinely believe like I mean like I don't think like that's 100% the reason why we're not seeing a Yordle yet, but it is a possibility when if they are to consider a Yordle that they're gonna have to confront that problem of like, do we make the Yordles weirdly like bigger than normal, or like are we gonna have to make sure that being small does not have any kind of advantage over other characters, right? Like there's gonna be some decisions that have to be made if you're gonna bring in small characters like Yordles.
Yeah, you need a Yordle though. We agree on that,
I agree.
right?
You need a Yordle for
Okay,
sure.
like
Yordles need to be in the game. I'll be very disappointed if we never see a Yordle in 2XKO.
yeah, like I'm already unsatisfied with the roster right now, being like that it's so human, and that's one of the things that I feel like Runeterra as a world is lacking a little bit. It's lacking the variety. And I understand Vestaya can be literally anything. Like even in the book Ruination, you have a Vestaya who's like an otter. Like Vestaya I feel like, oh, those can be anything. Yeah. But I feel like you need those races that are just not human. Like a lot of the Vestaya, I think especially the playable ones are going to be human. Like it's going to be like an Ari here, where she just looks human, but she's got a tail
Yeah.
and ears.
Oh yeah.
I
Honestly,
want to
I
see
expect the MMO to go in
the
that
ones that
direction
aren't.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to see ones that
Like
aren't. I want to see like the
I
world look
agree.
like one of my favorite characters in the game is Aurelion Sol, and he's a giant space dragon.
Yeah, Aurelion Soul is not human. Yeah.
Can he
I would
be in
agree with that
2XKO?
statement. Then they definitely have to do some scaling. Then we're definitely breaking some Runeterra realism. Or
they
better, they just bring him as like a joke character. On like April 1st, they just release Aurelion Soul for one day. You can't play him in ranked, obviously, but he just one shots everyone, and he does not fit on the screen.
oh man. See, that would be great. See, now we're talking about gameplay mechanics that I like, that I could definitely see. I would log on for that for sure.
They flip the freaking table of the game for one day. The game becomes borderline unplayable on April 1st because everyone just freaking is rocking Aurelion Soul and one-shotting each
Man,
other.
I don't know if we'll ever see Aurelion Sol in 2XKO, but there is a character that I do think that I want to see in 2XKO, and I've talked to you about it before. I just want to mention it here again. Give me
Mhm.
Kindred, but make it where they satisfy both slots. You can still play two players. Like one person can be
Mhm.
the lamb, the other person can be the wolf. But if you pick Kindred, they have to be the team, both slots, and they like their mechanic is that they have a lot of good switches. Like their switches are really strong, and so they're constantly swapping in and out. And so if you want to play like two people, you'll have to really be in sync.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's amazing of an idea because like, yeah, not only can you set up their synergy to be insanely good, and that being like their whole shtick, but you could also give them special animations of them actually interacting with each other,
Yeah,
because like,
because
in the
they're always the
case of
same.
how, yeah, exactly, because like you're gonna be playing those two characters, so yeah, they're allowed to have like special interactions that other characters can't have because like if you're running like Yasuo and Alawi, right? Like they're not gonna really have any kind of like special animated interactions with each other, right? You're gonna have like Alawi's assist come in and do her own thing, Yasuo does his
Yeah,
own thing, and it's like I think it's awesome because of just like the imagination of being able to combine these characters and like mix and match them. But then you can have someone like Kindred who just breaks that and just like is like, yeah, they're together. Here's some like really cool special animations and interactions that they can have because no one else can do that because
man,
like they're
I
always
want it
together.
so
I
bad.
think that's
And you
sick.
literally can't split them up. Like they have to be together, and they take up
Yeah, they
both
are a
slots.
team. Yeah, dude, they are
Oh,
Cho'Gall from Heroes of the Storm.
yes, exactly. Freaking Cho'Gall. That was a great.
I
That
love
was one of the
Cho'Gall in
greatest
Heroes of
things
the
that they
Storm.
did.
I agree. No,
Yeah,
dude, Heroes of the Storm, amazing. Dude, I love Heroes of the Storm.
me
God, what a
too.
good game. But yeah,
What a
Cho'Gall was one
whiff.
of the coolest heroes in any MOBA I've ever seen, easily. Like, what a creative thing to do to just freaking throw all caution to the wind and make a hero that just sounds impossible to balance.
Man.
For the sake of just making a really cool hero like that. Cho'Gall, by the way, was in the MOBA Heroes of the Storm, you'd two players would play as a two-headed ogre, right? So you're both it's like what, one head Cho, the player that plays Cho head controls the body and he does the up
Yeah,
close attacks while another person plays the other head of the ogre, which is Gaul, and they do the ranged magic attacks, which is like so you're
man.
both playing one hero and he's like and he has insane damage, he has really high health. So cool. So it makes up for having two players be one hero in the game.
They did
It's
so many,
such
so
a
much
cool
unique
idea.
stuff in that game. What about Ragnaros when you can literally become the
Dude,
tower?
yeah,
Like,
you
oh,
become the
they're pushing the
fort.
tower, you
Yeah.
become the tower like the raid boss. Like, jeez, man, Heroes of the Storm is
Yeah,
such
and
a
he actually becomes
whiff on
huge.
Blizzard's
It
part.
honestly was. My God. Because it didn't make them $1 billion in 2 weeks. They got upset and they cried about it. And they shut
League of
down
Legends
their
should take
entire
some
competitive
notes.
scene overnight. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
crazy
I
to
agree.
say,
Other than
but
the
League
whole
of Legends should take
shutdown
some
part,
notes.
I agree.
Yeah,
Dude, even
but
just
yeah,
like, all right, I would love all right, I think league players would hate this. I think league
okay,
players
give
would
it to me.
actually despise this with a burning passion.
Give
If
it
they
to
just
me.
started making more maps, like how with actual objectives, like how Heroes of the Storm did
Yeah,
it. I imagine it would be like a
yeah,
different game mode, obviously, right?
yeah. It would. It
I
would.
don't know how much league players would like that because I imagine league players are naturally competitive people who want a like a sterile environment to just be nothing but skill. But like,
But you always
dude,
have that. That's always
yeah,
there.
I
You
agree.
know.
That'll always be the main game. But like,
Yeah.
give me some freaking crazy objectives to fight for that will spawn a big bad boss to go to the nearest tower and push with you. That kind of stuff in Heroes of the Storm, dude, they flipped MOBAs on its head in such a fun way that just made it feel less competitive and more just enjoyable. More that just I
Remember
can
we
sit down and have fun playing the game.
remember we made popcorn and stuff. We sat in the basement. We watched Heroes of the Dorm, which was
Heroes of
like
the
a bunch of
Dorm.
college kids playing Heroes of the Storm.
Dude,
Man, oh
they put it on ESPN and
yeah, it
everyone
was
got
great.
so mad.
Except
I
us, we
thought
were
that was
watching. We
so
were so
funny.
happy.
Dude, that was the only time I was on ESPN was for
Me
Heroes of the
too.
Dorm.
Yeah,
Nah, God, Heroes was a great MOBA. It's still my favorite MOBA to this day. Because that I think that's the only MOBA where I was like easily like well over like, you know, like hundreds of hours into the game, and I was still just having such stupid fun with it as though it was like my first time opening the game. You know?
League of Legends should definitely come out with some more gameplay like styles. For example, I don't know about PvE. Like Wild Rift, they came out with the Callista event. It's got a PvE mode. I beat it already. There's like 5 levels. You beat the 5 levels. It's pretty cool. You know, you upgrade
Mm-hmm.
Callista. She gets stronger. You can even get like a melee form for her. It's fun, but at the same time, like I naturally always gravitate towards PvP. That's just me. And I like different
Yeah.
ways to play PvP. Like right now, I like uh I like League of Legends, and I like playing I play there's like the single lane, which is they do it on, it's actually in the Freljord above the Howling Abyss on the bridge, which is pretty cool. And it's
Whoa,
that
wait, what?
solo
They have
lane.
actual locations in League? I didn't know
Yeah, yeah,
that.
that single lane. Well, I don't think a lot of people don't know it. They just think it's a random bridge, but the actual bridge that you're fighting on in the single lane push, where it's one lane 5v5, that is the bridge above the Howling Abyss in the Freljord.
That's sick.
Yeah,
God,
and
what a
then in
way to
the
make one
actual,
lane. They made the lane.
yeah, no, it's awesome. And then in the actual League of Legends map, that's a forest.
Whoa.
That's it. It's just a forest.
It's just a forest.
Just
Okay, I'll have to say, like, what kind of
you thought
forest?
you thought the
It's
forest
just
was
a
like a
forest. Like, where are
place.
you going with
No, it's not.
this?
It's not the Bandlewood or anything. It's just a forest. I don't actually doesn't. I don't know if it has any value whatsoever. But they should make more stuff like that, like those kind of game modes that are different, that are unique, like where it's not just like imagine Overwatch where it's just one game mode, or Valorant where Valorant is kind of one game mode, isn't it? I never played much Valorant.
I
I
honestly,
played
I
it a
never
little
played
bit.
Valorant. I'm not much
Yeah,
of a competitive like CS:GO kind of guy, so I kind of just stayed away
yeah.
from Valorant.
I'm trying to stay in the Riot world, but just imagine like you only have one game mode. It's kind of a waste. Like you already have the models, you already have the game set up, like the mechanics are there, the balancing is there. I would love
Right,
League of
dude.
Legends. I would love to
Yeah.
see that, but like a Noxus Demacia kind of thing where you have uh on the Noxus side, you have Swain, who's like the end boss. He's kind of like the king, right? Almost like a chess game. And then on the
Mm-hmm.
Demacia side, you have, yeah, or Jarvan the fourth. And like that kind of becomes okay. It's a little bit of the Demacia and Noxus vibe. You got like the different zones, like you have the Demacian capital of Demacia, and you have Noxus with the Immortal Bastion on that side, and they're competing, and you have like those different characters that you have to kill. But it's not just pushing the towers, you know? Like they
Yeah.
need to make some more game modes in there, or Bilgewater where you have the ship. Like, you can definitely have a ship in there, and like gold, and turning in gold and doing different things to like advance the game. I don't know. That's just
Yeah,
like
I
random
don't know
stuff off
why.
the top of my
Like,
head.
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's just like literally just brainstorming based off of like, I'm assuming also like Smite. Smite has its share of like NPC bosses that will
Yeah.
be in like the jungles that like legitimately have some like significance. Like, I imagine you could actually have like some legitimate like characters that you would like, take out. That like they would like drop like buffs and stuff like that for the team. I always think that kind of stuff is sick, and like that's something that they could change up consistently. I don't know, dude. I just think like I think MOBAs like League and Dota specifically, it's just I don't know. They're so stuck in like the stagnation of pushing that one competitive game mode that they have, right?
Yeah.
Like they have other stuff. I like Dota has its own like fan made game modes and stuff that you can access easily and all that, but like it's not the same as like with Heroes of the Storm where that was the game, right? Like their
Yeah.
development team focused a lot on making new content, on making new maps and new ways to like interact with the game. And that to me is what made Heroes of the Storm very special. And that I would love for League to go in that direction one day, just because now I'm too much into Runeterra. But like, I don't know. I still think League players would hate that if they actually like committed to something like that, and if the dev team focused more on making content instead of just like the smallest hit percentage changes in the next patch notes.
Yeah. Yeah, those aren't the most exciting for guys like us, but I think it would. I don't know. Maybe League of Legends doesn't care to widen their player base. They've already got like a massive player base all over the world
Yeah.
globally. Like it's probably the most played game at all times, anywhere.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the most popular
But
MOBA by far, for sure.
what is? I
But
always like that line from Bane. You know, victory has defeated you. Because like you can sometimes when you're at the top, you kind of get
yeah,
lazy. And I
yeah, I
hope that
get
League
like
of Legends keeps
complacent.
pushing. Even after the RIOT MMO comes out, I don't want to see League of Legends, die off. I think League of Legends is a great game. I want to see it advance and like keep using these characters in unique ways. I mean, even the original game, the MOBA, was a riff on Warcraft 3. Like it wasn't actually a game, it was just a side game mode that someone made. So like
Yeah,
keep
Dota.
making side game modes, and then if one becomes super popular, then okay, then you turn that into its own game. Like Team Fight Tactics is kind of a riff on League of Legends, really. It's just like a auto battler. Now there's auto battlers everywhere, but that was kind of the first one. Not the first, but it was one of the ones, first really popular ones.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's what Riot does, right? Like especially now, they have the resources to like take an existing idea and make it big, and do it right.
yeah,
Which is why I feel like I'm excited for 2XKO because they know that they know how to push things forward. They know
yeah,
how to go into a new genre and well not a new genre, but they know how to go into a genre they haven't really touched before and make it their own and make it big. So I'm hoping that they actually get a little creative with 2XKO and League and just in general. Hope they
yeah,
push the envelope a little more than they have been, in my opinion. But I don't see that happening for League. 2XKO I think at least has a chance, right? Because it's still so new. And they have to do something to beat out all the other 2D fighters that are already out here right now that like just dropped in the past like couple of years, like Street Fighter 6 and Tekken and Mortal Kombat 1, all that stuff.
yeah,
So I don't know. I want to see Riot really do something crazy. I want to see Riot do something new.
yeah. I like that the 2v2 fighter thing. I like the tag team motion of it, but it's not something that we've
Yeah, I
never
think that's
seen
cool.
before. Like we've seen
Oh
that
yeah, I mean like
before.
Mortal Kombat ones. I mean like Mortal Kombat ones not to like the same degree as 2XKO is doing the twos, but like you
Yeah,
have your assist character.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z
Dragon Ball
though.
Fighters is three people. Yeah, Dragon Ball Fighters is a lot like what 2XKO is doing now,
Look
I
how I had the
believe,
Z on the
where
end. It's
it's
not
three
always a
characters.
Z.
I know, dude. I called it Fighter Z for the longest time, and then I started watching it competitively, and everyone was calling it Fighters. And I'm like, then why is the Z so big in the logo? Like, don't make the Z so big if it's not its own individual thing. For this, you just call it Fighters.
But here's what I want to see for sure from 2XKO. And maybe this is just me because I feel like a lot of people honestly don't even know about the lore. Like, honestly, people don't even know Runeterra, what the word is, or that it exists. Like, they played League of Legends their whole life. They have no idea that there's a world called Runeterra. They have no idea what a Vastaya is. They have no idea there's like an Ionia. They just don't know. I'm telling you, like, this is majority. Like, majority of players have
Yeah,
no
this is a
idea.
super. Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
idea that League of Legends has a world at all is a pretty niche thing.
Yeah. The fact that you're listening to this podcast, I can guarantee you means that you're much more invested into like the world and like the RIOT MMO than anyone else. So you have an idea, but I guarantee you, if you ask your friend, be like, he plays League of Legends, ask him, hey, have you ever heard of Runeterra? He'll say,
Yeah,
what the heck is that?
and then you have to say, oh, it's the like the place that Arcane takes place in.
Yeah.
Arcane. Yeah, that was in Runeterra.
He'll say, I thought that was Zon. And you're gonna hit your head. Okay. So it's like, what about Piltover then? Those different worlds. It's gonna be a conversation. But what I will what I will say is 2XKO, they should use like games like this to bring people into the world. Like League of Legends, they don't really they've said before in conversations like, oh, a MOBA is not the best place to tell stories. I'm not sure I agree with that because the Callista event, they did a great job. It tells if you have not experienced the story of Callista, you don't know who she is. Go log on to Wild Rift. It's amazing. Like do the full story, read the whole thing. There's an event at the end of gameplay. It's very good. Or if you want, I have videos on it where I literally voice act the whole thing. But like I disagree with it that it's a bad way. I think you can tell stories. I think that 2v2 like this 2XKO. like Mortal Kombat, they tell stories, and everyone knows the story of Mortal Kombat that's played the game. The story mode, it's fun. Like even like Marvel Fighters, I think they did. It's like a Marvel fighting game. They had a whole story in there. There's one for DC comic heroes. They had a whole story in there. I think you could definitely do a story here, and even just for individual characters, and just bring people into Runeterra. Because right now, I don't think that they've done a great job showing the world off. The map is amazing. The stories are amazing, but they just need to bring the casual player into Runeterra. And you can do that in 2xKO by adding that PvE mode with a story, and you can keep adding to it. And people at the end of the day, PvE, like PvP is something I love. But if you even look at a game like World of Warcraft, majority of people play PvE. And if you add a PvE mode in 2xKO, I think you're going to get a bigger player base.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, for sure. When it comes to these competitive titles in general, like obviously I think MOBAs are the exception, but for fighting games, yeah, the vast majority of the player base is not going to be like crazy about climbing the ranked ladder. I
Yeah.
I, I can 100% guarantee that the vast majority of people who will be playing 2xKO will be pretty dang casual because that's how it is with every other fighter out there. They're gonna want some good story, like or not sorry, like just like some good single player content. They're gonna want just like more characters coming out to have a reason to come back to the game and play these new characters. That's really what people are gonna be playing for.
Or,
They're gonna be playing for the
or it's
content.
2v2, PvE with a friend. Like you and your friend go through the
Yeah,
story.
or it's just like
Like
sitting on
you,
the couch. Yeah.
yeah. That could be fun. Like you can do the story of Yasuo and Ari before the game, the Ruined King game. Like you know, Yasuo and Ari are coming from Ionia, but a lot of people don't know that before that, the reason Yasuo left Ionia was because his brother Yone, the whole thing that they had there, and Ari has a whole story back there. Like you can do the 2v2 2xKO event that kind of takes you through that story with Yasuo and Ari being like the 2v2 at the end that you kind of come together. And it doesn't always have to be 2v2. Like for the PvE mode, you can have just Yasuo kind of his portion of the story where it's just him. That can be really it.
Mhm. Yeah,
I think,
absolutely. I don't see why not. Like,
yeah, I
oh,
really
dude,
want
I
to see
think
a
even
PvE
like
mode.
yeah, I think even in the PvP, like how we're talking about how we'd love the idea of like new maps in League that could have objectives of their own and stuff like that. I think a lot of if you want to envelop the lore in a PvP setting,
Hmm.
I don't think you can like I don't know if you can have like, some like straight up actual progression character archetype stuff in a PvP setting, but like I like the way World of Warcraft does their battlegrounds and how they relate the battlegrounds back to the lore, like
Yeah,
Alterac
they
Valley,
do. You're right.
right? Like Alterac Valley is an actual it was an actual war that happened on Azeroth in World of
Yeah.
Warcraft.
Same
That
thing
was
with
between
Warsong
it
Gulch.
was between like the dwarves and was it between the dwarves and the orcs? It was either dwarves and
Um,
orcs or dwarves and trolls. I don't remember which one it was.
I don't remember.
But it's a legit event that took place between two factions, two peoples, and they just turned that into a battleground. Is it 100% accurate when you're playing the battleground? Heck no. Not at all, actually. Like the Light Forge Draenei were not there. But but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that they took some actual like they took a PvP thing that they wanted to do and converted it into a really cool piece of lore. And I could see League of Legends doing that too, right? Where there could be certain battles that take place on Runeterra that they can turn into its own map in League of Legends into some kind of 5v5 game mode, right? And like obviously you don't have to play like certain like if it's like a Demacia Noxus type map, you don't have to only play Demacian champions. You can play whoever the
Yeah,
heck you
yeah,
want, but you're going to be on the Demacia side or the Noxus side when you start, like when you get into the game. And there'll
yeah.
be like little like map elements that allude to what's happened and to what's happening in this war that you're taking part in, just like weapons scattered about or even like little I can even see like little like secrets, in the map that people could find little Easter egg stuff hinting at lore. I don't know. There's a lot they can do with PvP like that without telling an actual story,
Man,
in
I
my
like
opinion.
that. I like that a lot. I really do. I think more PvE is a good thing, and that's how you bring players that you already have in the PvE space into the world. And you can give them like a cosmetic skin for completing it, or you can just have the map I love the idea of the map being based on something that actually happened. Like you were saying, Demacia and Noxian's there's also the Noxian Ionian War. You could have a map with Noxus and Ionia on each side. Or you can even go deeper
Yeah,
and be like,
dude.
okay, the old gods, not the old gods, but like the what are they called? Well, there's like the different gods, the Freljordian gods and the Freljord, and you can go all the way back to like the war of the three sisters, where like you had the three sisters on one side and the gods on one side with Volibear, that kind of thing. You can go as far back as you want just to bring people into the lore and say, "Oh, what the heck is this? Like, I didn't even know there was three sisters in the past." And what the heck does Lysandra have to do with Volibear? Turns out Volibear literally blinded her, and she's the reason that she can't see. But like, if you bring those wars and those conflicts into the game in some way instead of just having a random forest,
Yeah.
it's. I love the 1v1 map, the one solo map, because it's actually a place in Runeterra.
Yeah, I think that's sick.
Yeah,
Stuff like that I think is really, really neat. Cause like yeah, like they don't have to like go all the way with it. They just need to bring Runeterra into League of Legends. That's all they need to do. And like just the popularity of League of Legends I think would do the rest. You know?
yep. I'm with you. 100%. Okay, I think we've talked a lot of 2XKO, touched a lot of this. I think we need to go because I promised this. I literally promised this in the last episode. We need to talk RIOT MMO Raid Bosses. All right,
Oh yeah, let's do it.
let's
All
do
right.
it. So, where
Do
do you
we
want to
take it one
start?
zone
You
at a
pick a
time?
zone. Yeah, yeah, pick a zone. You pick.
Oh man. All right.
Dealer's
I guess
choice.
I want to start with one that I'm like unsure about of like who would be the raid boss of this place? Who would be the
Okay.
raid boss of Ionia? Who
Ooh.
who's like a big overarching
Okay.
like baddie in Ionia? Cuz I feel like Ionia is made up of a lot of smaller stories compared to other
Yeah.
places. Ionia has a
All right.
lot of different little things instead of the one big thing, like say the Sun Disk in Shurima. You know, that's kind of like a central part of all of Shurima lore, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Ionia is just like all these little characters doing their own things, their own little villages and stuff. So
Ionia does
I'm
have the
curious.
biggest roster, but I will say this that people need to realize is that you're not always on the right side of history. Okay, even in WoW, you have like the Defias Brotherhood. I'm 100% the Defias Brotherhood side, which is a story
Oh,
for
me
another
too.
time. But yeah, they were the good guys. You go in there and kill them for that sweet loot. Okay, I think Zaya and Rakan, who are both like Vestayan, kind of like freedom fighters, they don't really go about it in the right way all the time. You know, they're more like violence over peace kind of thing. And they want to bring
Oh
back
yeah.
yeah. So I can definitely see Zaya and Rakan being a raid boss. You obviously have Varus, who's a Darkin. And Darkin are kind of people, you actually have two Darkin, which is Kane, but Kane is kind of, honestly, Kane would be a great one. So Kane he took up a weapon, right? Which is one of the darkened weapon. When you take up a darkened weapon, you basically become possessed. Every single Atrox that you see right now is Atrox's weapon. He possessed someone. Like someone picked up the weapon, now they are possessed by that darken. And we can go really far back to who the darken are, but just know that they're bad. Okay, they're corrupted by the void. They want to destroy Runeterra, take over the whole place, that kind of thing. They're not good. Uh, Kane is kind of able to control it a little bit. Like he's able to fight back the darken and kind of be his own will, which is very unique for someone who picks up like a darkened weapon. I know Varus there's like a little bit of it, like they can kind of control him, but really it's the darken that's in control and they're like barely holding on. Kane is really kind of he is almost in control. It's crazy how much Kane control Kane has. And I would like to see Kane almost start slipping where the Darkin starts taking control more, and then you have to kind of have a full raid against Kane where he's kind of losing it, right? These are all great raid bosses. I said Zion Rakan. I said Varus. He's the Darkin, or he's another Darkin that's in there. Zed is kind of also a make war not peace, bring back like Ionian strength and use Ionia to defend, use Ionian magic to defend itself. Uh, Shen is kind of more of a guy that would be on our side. So that's where I would see Ionia going. Like those are the kind of characters that I would see as being raid bosses.
Yeah, big enough to be worthy of the title raid boss. That's
Yeah.
fair. I mean, like
All right. Give me.
I don't know much about Rakan personally, but just looking at him, I feel like he would make for a very fun villain. This dude looks so smug.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
he
god.
is. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, like I think he would. I would definitely enjoy like just a long arc where this dude is just constantly calling me out for like being a little B, or like because I'm like, only killing 100 guys when I should have been killing at least 200 a second. I feel
I'm
like he'd be
telling you,
that
they would
kind of
be
guy.
great. Yep. I definitely see that, foresee them being like, and it's nice that Ionia is all gray. I mean, really, all of Runeterra is pretty gray. Like even when I say a raid boss, I'm never saying that they're the bad guy. Even Lysandra is
Yeah,
not a bad guy, and she doomed all of Runeterra by bringing in the void. Um,
that's
and
impressive.
she literally kidnaps children, but she's not always bad. Like she killed her sisters and she sacrificed the Yetis. But like, there's some stuff that's good about her too. Like she's also wants to stop the Watchers from coming into existence. Sure, she caused it, but she wants to prevent it. Like she realizes that the Watchers are bad and she wants to keep them at bay. And she knows that this is like the war for all of Runeterra, and her whole goal is to stop that at this point. So she's bad with purpose, you know. Um,
Yeah,
but pick
yeah,
another
I like
zone.
that.
That Freljord is obviously Lysandra, and there's a bunch of other guys there. But pick someone else, somewhere else other
Yeah,
than those
yeah,
two.
yeah. I think that one's obvious. Um, let's see. We got options. Let's talk about. Do you think? No, I think Acathia would definitely have a raid boss for sure,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's an easy one. That's gonna be Void
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. It's gonna be a voidy boss. I wouldn't. I mean, like, I imagine that it would either be like, oh, like we would just have some like no name big bad void monster that we would have to kill,
Belveth. No, I think it's gonna be
or
Belveth for sure.
oh really?
She's
Because
crazy.
yeah, I was thinking like, or it could be that we get like we're fighting somewhere else and the fight makes its way to Acathia. You know, I could see that
Yeah.
being a possibility. But yeah, Belvith, yeah, I agree. That does seem like the most reasonable option.
Search up Belveth Kaisa cinematic. You'll see Kaisa fighting Belveth, and you'll see like she's Belveth is definitely a raid boss. You'll see her like kind of transform into a literal void dragon. Easy one.
Oh yeah, dude, that's
Acathia,
cool.
yeah, Acathia will be Belveth, and then that'll kind of lead in. I think Acathia is your stepping stone. That's going to be your first time interacting with the void, and then that'll lead into the
Yeah,
Freljord. Is my thought process.
I agree. I think that's the nice thing about Acathia is that it's just this kind of like it's not very like crazy like significant in terms of power, especially in regards to
Yeah,
like relative to how massive the void actually is. Acathia is really like a pinky finger of the void, but it's still also threatening and can be treated like a climactic place that'll
yeah.
introduce us to the void for the first time for us to really like grasp the scope of the void. Is that I feel like Kathy's gonna be the first major place where the void takes center stage. I'm
Yeah,
excited for
and we'll
that.
also get the time bending class, the time bending wizards like Zillion. That's a story for another time. But I do think that the Acathia, you're going to add that class to the game
Yeah.
if there is
All right,
classes.
dude. If there is class, I always feel the need to say that after everything I say for the MMO. I'm like, if it even has multiplayer, who knows? I don't know. We have no information. All right, hear me out. Who's the boss of Targon? Is it
Oh,
Aurelion
freaking!
Soul?
I think Aurelion Soul is almost too big to
I
be
feel
a
like
boss.
we should never. Yeah, we've already said this plenty of times. We should not fight Aurelion Soul. If we do, I'll be
Okay, I'm
disappointed.
gonna. Here's a hot take. Here's a hot take.
Hmm.
Okay, if you know the
Hmm.
lore of Pantheon, if you don't, this might not make sense to you. But if you know the lore of Pantheon, the aspects or Aurelion Soul, the aspects are not good. Okay, they've done a lot of effed up
Hmm.
stuff, and Pantheon says the most evil of the aspects is one that looks like a child, that takes on the appearance of a child, and that's Zoe. And so when an aspect merges with a person, it's like though supposedly sometimes it looks like, you know, it's more mutual, like it's half and half. Like Tarek is an aspect, Soraka is an aspect, Diana. These are all people that are now kind of merged with an aspect. Like aspect,
Hmm.
they climbed Mount Targon. The aspect said, "Wow, you know, you're great. We're gonna fuse, and now we're together." And it always seems like after that, they kind of pursue their own ends. Like
Ah.
not really on the human's goal. It's almost like they almost seem like they've been twisted into fulfilling the aspect's wishes on Earth, even though it might seem like it's still the person. And
That's
supposedly it's
scary.
very, very painful. Like Soraka, I remember reading somewhere like she's literally in constant pain because of the aspect that's within her. And it's like her body, can only take so much because it's a mortal form. Uh, and
Wow.
Pantheon says the most evil of these aspects is the one that takes on the appearance of a child. So think about it this way: if this aspect is like taking over someone, like if it's control, like imagine it took like a child. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's
And there's a
terrifying.
story of her and she was like playing with a ball and stuff, and the aspect thought it was so cute and she's so funny, and so that's why it chose her. But
Oh, she's adorable. Let's merge.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Um,
my god.
but like at the same time, I think the aspects are bad. And I think that'll be an interesting thing to play out. Are we going to be on the side of the aspects against someone like Aurelian Sol, who was just a dragon that they strapped a crown to his head and started stealing his power and pushed him away from Runeterra? And Aurelian Sol is really actually a good guy, in my opinion. Um, are we going to be against Aurelian Sol? Or are we going to be against the aspects? Because there you cannot be neutral on Targon. It's going to be, you're either on the side of the aspects or Aurelian Soul. Or you're on Pantheon side and you say, screw everyone, anyone with power needs to die. And so you'll be against them all. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
No, yeah, I definitely my prediction is that where we start off against Aurelian Soul and then we end up with him. I
That's what
absolutely
I
see
think.
that happening, right? Because I feel like right now the like Runeterra as a whole is against Aurelian Soul because
Yeah.
Aurelian Soul's against us.
He
Even
just wants
though
to
like
destroy the
it feels
world.
more like a misunderstanding. Well, not really misunderstanding, but misguidance from us by the aspects, right?
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
that's what it feels like. And I think if that gets revealed and cleared up and we're able to like, get to the bottom of this whole thing and find out why the Pantheon and why the aspects are doing what they're doing, I see us teaming up with Aurelion Soul for
Yeah. I
sure.
think I think Targon should come before the Void because we're gonna need Aurelian Soul. Because Aurelian Soul is the only person that's ever fought the Void. And he supposedly he did feel fear when he looked into the void at the Watchers. And
Yeah, if
I can
he's
see
if he's
like,
shit in the bed, like what
yeah, when
what the
he
heck
looked
are we
at
gonna
them in
do?
their world,
Yeah.
in our like dimension, which is there's the void, then there's our like existence. The void and
Hmm.
the watchers are outside of our existence. The only reason they were able to pierce into our existence a little bit was because of Lysandra. Aurelian Soul felt a little bit of fear when he looked at them in the void outside of our realm of existence. But in our realm of existence, I think Aurelian Soul. I mean, I know Aurelian Soul. He'll f him up. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like snap
Yeah, I
Runeterra in
imagine.
half. You know, and
Yeah, he'll just
uh,
poke us when we'll explode.
yeah, yeah. Like, but I do think that we're gonna need Aurelian Soul prior to fighting the actual Void. We're gonna
Yeah,
need to bring
I
him to
think
our
so
side.
too. And then I think, yeah, I can imagine Aurelion Soul finding a purpose in us enough to not
Yeah,
want to just obliterate the entire planet and be done with it.
yeah. It'll be a nice surprise. He'll be on the cover art. It'll be like fighting Aurelian Soul, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, we're all
Yeah,
friends."
Aurelion Soul
It,
expansion. Aurelion Soul expansion. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I totally see that happening. But like I feel like Targon needs to have a raid, right? I feel like
Oh
Targon is
yeah.
such a cool climactic place that I can't see it not having some kind of raid that might take place in like, some like caverns inside the mountain, something like that. I could see that being really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe even if it's like we have to like prevent another aspect from like merging with a person. I could see that happening. Like someone's climbing the mountain, we
Yeah.
have to
Maybe
stop
like
them,
not
something
all the
like that.
aspects are good. Only some of them are good,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
really anything like that. I could see Targon for sure having a raid, and I could see it being insanely cool if it like takes place inside the mountain. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I think when you have Targon, I think you can definitely have like a whole section of the Marai territory, which is off the coast. And that has to do with the Lonari and the moonlight kind of thing, and them protecting it from the void. It's a lot of story. But the Marai territory is a place, it's underwater off the coast of Targon, and it ties very well into Targon. So I'd want to explore the Marai territory too. And you could definitely have a void kind of raid touched on in there.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
totally forgot about the Messiah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of action in Targon. I don't think it'll be hard for them to come up with a raid for it, even if there's not a lot
Oh
going on
no.
there at the moment right now.
Easy.
Yeah, yeah, there's
Hmm.
still a lot of potential there for sure. Um, oh, Zahn's gonna have to have a lot of raids, I think.
Oh,
Right, Zahn, I
oh
think, is
yeah.
much too important of a place to not have just a lot of content in general surrounding Zahn.
Yeah.
Not
It's too
only is it
easy to
like a
make a raid
significant
for Zon.
place, yeah, exactly. Not only is it just like significant lore-wise, Zahn, but like it's such a fan favorite at this point because of Arcane, because of Jinx, because of Echo. Like they've already used Zahn a lot because they know it's a cool place and that there's a lot of depth there, both literally and
Yeah.
figuratively. I don't even think we need to talk about Zahn.
Yeah, but what I will say this, there's one that I would love to see a raid or even just like a really good dungeon, Dr.
Hmm.
Mundo. Dr. Mundo,
Dr.
and by the way,
Mundo.
I think he is in Arcane. He just hasn't, you know how like you're in Arcane, it's kind of like you're seeing before everything kind of hits the fan. Like
Hmm.
freaking Victor still looks like human. He's not like all machined yet. I think that in Singed it kind of doesn't look as he's still kind of towards the end he looks pretty crazy, but he's kind of getting there at the beginning, like he still has both of his eyes. Warwick we don't really see yet. Hint hint. But I will say this in
Yet.
Arcane 1, you're actually seeing, I think you see Victor. I think you see who becomes Urgot. Obviously, you see Singed. I think you see who becomes Warwick. And I think you see who becomes Dr. Mundo. And obviously, there's Jinx
Wow.
and Echo in there as well, and Vi, who's from Piltover. But I do think that you see Dr. Mundo. And I'll give you a hint he licks someone's head. And he's a part of the gang kind of down there. Zon.
Oh man. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and he's a bit
Hmm.
crazy.
I mean, yeah, I
So
believe it. Dr. Mundo is a crazy dude. So I imagine he was crazy in his past as well.
Yeah, he gets in an insane asylum, and he even looks crazy in Arcane, the first one. And when he licked someone's head, I was like, oh my god, is that Dr. Mundo? But he's utterly mad. I'll read it to you, and he'll tell me. I think he'll be a great dungeon. Utterly mad, tragically homicidal, and horrifyingly purple. Dr. Mundo is what keeps many of Zon's citizens indoor on particularly dark nights. Now a self-proclaimed physician, he was once a patient of Zon's most infamous asylum. After curing the entire staff, Dr. Mundo established his practice in the empty wards that once treated him and began mimicking the highly unethical procedures he had so often experienced himself. With a full cabinet of medicine and zero medical knowledge, he now makes himself more monstrous with each injection and terrifies the hapless patients who wander near his office. Dr. Mundo, easy win on an awesome dungeon or raid. I want to go
Totally
through his
agree. Dude, they
hospital.
can make the stinking
Yeah,
asylum, yeah. Like
yeah,
easy raid. Oh my god. And that would be such a
yep,
creative and cool raid because
yep.
what MMO has a raid that's just a stinking insane asylum, like an actual
Freaking
just
insane asylum.
facility that you have to fight your way
Right?
through.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah, just full of his like maddened creations, you know? The people that
Yep.
he's like turned into monsters. Yeah, no, absolutely. Dude, easy raid. No, Zon is gonna be such a frequented place in the MMO, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think there's always gonna be stuff going on in Zon, in my opinion. There'll never not be a reason to go there.
All right, let's 100% Zon great. It's going to be great for a raid. You can easily get like freaking 3 raids out of Zon. I
Yeah.
think we save the rest for next time because there's one question that I want to touch on too before we go. That was from the viewer. But
Okay.
let's remember that we did Ionia, we did Zon, and we did Targon.
In a caveat.
Freljord, we should do Freljord too, but like those ones we'll remember.
Oh,
We'll
probably would be an
continue
easy
this in the
one.
next time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much like Zon. But we'll continue this
Yeah.
in the next one. We'll talk more about the raid bosses. So here's the question. It would be cool if only a few players are selects for a main character story quest. A special equipment powers, competitiveness is important. It would drive off boredom and pay to win aspect. MMORPG doesn't work too well if every single player is doing the same main story quest line. It's just a bunch of NPCs with different class doing the same quest lines. but identity and personality of the individual solo player or groupies clans players should be different. It tells more story and brings out more strengths of the RPG aspect. So basically what they're saying here, and this is from our Discord server, they're saying that they want to see where every class kind of has a unique story and it's not all homogenized. For example, in World of Warcraft, like every single race used to have a different starting zone. Now everyone got homogenized. Now they all have a single starting zone. Also, it used to be like pretty unique, right? Paladin used to have bubble. Now everyone's got a freaking immune, you know?
Yeah.
That
Oh
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
dude.
Like they're asking
Oh man,
for,
class
I
order
want to see
halls. I'll never
uniqueness.
forget.
Yeah,
I'll never forget class
that was
order halls
huge.
in World of Warcraft Legion, the best expansion. I will never
Mhm.
forget that. It was the best expansion for a reason. Class identity, very important. I hard agree with this. Class
Explain class order
identity,
halls a little
so
bit
insanely
and
important.
when
All
class
right.
identity. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So class order halls in Legion being a World of Warcraft expansion back in like, oh my God, how long? Oh God, how long was it now?
Stop it.
I know in
Stop.
2018 I was playing. Oh my God, dude. That was like 6 years ago. No way. Okay, well, Legion was an expansion a long, long time ago than World of Warcraft.
Crazy.
And a big feature of the expansion was this new content called class order halls, where depending on what class you played, let's say I played a paladin, um, you as a paladin would get a special quest telling you to come to this like cathedral that's just this whole building dedicated to just paladins. Only paladins can go into this cathedral, and you'll see all your paladin buddies in there, like other players, also paladins, only have access to this area. You'll get special quests. You'll get like special like companions for your war table, which is just like like side stuff you're doing, like a little Facebook game to
Yeah.
grind out like materials. You get your special weapon, your artifact weapon, where you have to do certain quest lines or secret events to unlock really cool new appearances for your
And this
very
is all
cool
just
class
for
specific
paladins.
weapon. This is all just for paladins. Yeah, yeah.
Just
But
one
what's
class in the
great,
game, they get all of this. And if you're not this class, you get none of it. Like you never see it. You literally will not
yeah, you have
see it.
no idea it's there.
Yeah.
You could try to go into it. If you've played Paladin and you
Yeah.
know where the cathedral is, you could try to enter it and they'll kick you out, or the door will be
Yep.
closed and you can't enter.
Will literally kill
They
you.
had different creative ways of doing it for each
Yeah.
class order hall. There was a unique way for you to not be able to enter if you weren't that class, which I thought was so cool. There was a lot of little details like that. I remember vividly, I played Warrior. We had our own special place where you would leap up into the sky and you would land like a freaking legend into the halls of valor.
Valhalla.
Yeah, you
Valheim or
straight up go to
Valhalla or something.
Valhalla. You straight
Pretty
up go to
much.
Valhalla. You talk to Odin. Odin's like an a-hole, which was amazing. No, dude, it was so good. You meet characters that you'll never meet unless you were that class. It was so cool. So naturally, I would love that in the Riot MMO. I would love if, as a shaman, you have access to certain places in the Freljord that no one else would have access to, and that you get to interact with special characters who are teaching you the shaman ways, or you're part of this shamanic order that is like wants to accomplish certain things in the Freljord. I think that's so sick. It's so
Yeah.
important to feel like your character is not like every other player you've met in the game. It's so important to feel like when you see a fellow character who's the same class as you, that you immediately identify with that person. You are one and the same in the sense of like you get it. You like the same things I like, and that's cool. Right? Without that kind of special class content in my eyes, everyone just feels the same. I don't think twice when I see someone who's a different class or the same class as me. Everyone feels the same. I don't
Yeah.
know, dude. It's hard
That
to put
stuff
into
makes you
words.
unique. That stuff makes you
Yeah,
unique. And
it makes you stand out, and it makes you feel like the choice you made at the beginning of the game when you made your character has so much more
has value.
impact. Yeah, it
Yeah.
has
Like
value.
your class never had more value than in Legion. And
Yeah.
even there's other stuff in the game, like the Warlock Green Fire quest line, which is just if you're not a Warlock, you will never do it. And
Hmm.
but if you are a Warlock and you want that green fire, well, you have to go through this whole quest line, and it's pretty extensive, but it's just for one specific group. And I understand there's the fear when when it comes to creating something, like even me, like if I create a video, uh I want it to be viewable by as many people as possible. Like we could
Hmm.
have done this podcast and just said, "Oh, this is an MMO podcast." But no, we want to do it on the RiotMMO and Runeterra, and this is the Brazen Hydra. It's in Bilgewater. Like that's the group that we're talking to. And sometimes when you try to make it too broad, you lose something. Does that like
Yeah.
if you try to like make it content accessible to everyone, well then it's now you have to get rid of stuff. For example, if you want everyone to access the Paladin Order Hall, it can no longer be a Paladin Order Hall. Now it's just an Order Hall, and you have to make it where everyone gets along in there and everyone's okay with each other. And I understand it's harder because now you have to make a different thing for every single group of people, but at the
Hmm.
same time, it adds so much to the game
Oh yeah.
on an exponential level.
Not to mention, it's just like super alt friendly, right? If you have more than one character, you're no longer experiencing the same exact thing 5 times over on 5 different
Hmm.
characters. You now have a new experience every time you make a new character that just really brings out the difference between your characters when you're looking at that login screen. You know, it makes each of your characters feel way more special. There's so much to it.
Yeah, it adds to
Even, dude,
replayability.
even professions at the time. My God,
Man,
one thing I'll never forget. There's a lot of things I've forgotten from all the most recent expansions of World of Warcraft, but there's so many things I'll never forget about Legion. Like if you're an alchemist, right? If you're making potions, first off, every profession had its own quest line that you would do as you leveled up your profession, which was insanely cool. And one part of the alchemist quest line where you're making potions, you had to learn how to make a certain potion that would let you see invisible things, and you would have to take that potion into a dungeon. So you'd have to get a dungeon group together, and you'd have to actually talk to people, which was crazy. You have to actually talk to people, your fellow players, and you have to tell them, "Hey guys, we have to go take this other route down this hallway, and I'm going to use the potion on this door, so we have access to an extra boss in this dungeon because I need to kill that boss for the quest."
look how awesome
And
that
you'll do
is.
it. Dude, I remember it vividly because of how special it was. How cool it felt that you have the alchemist in the group and he made that potion so you guys
See?
can go do this extra boss. Like,
And everyone who's not an alchemist will never have access to that boss without an alchemist friend. And everyone who never brings an alchemist will never even know that that exists. So, yeah, it took
yeah,
some
dude.
development time, but it's so unique and so special
So
that, okay,
worth
not
it.
everyone experienced it, but the people that do experience it, it means a lot
So
more.
special. Yeah, exactly. Like, so even just beyond the class, there are so many ways to make the character that you make feel special. And I think by far the best way to do it is having like class specific or character specific content. I so hard agree with this man's statement. Like that to me is a big part of MMOs and why I like MMOs. Is the feeling of everyone is nobody's like special, but everyone's unique.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. I love that.
I think the Incredibles did a great job of this. When the villain, he's like
When
he's finally
everyone's
gets,
super,
yeah,
no one will
no
be.
one will be syndrome.
Yeah.
He looks, yeah, because he's like, okay, you guys all have superpowers. I was like, give my inventions to everyone, and then when everyone's super, no one will be. Or even like
Yeah.
another line, his mom, she tells like Dash, everybody's special, and Dash says, which is another way of saying nobody is. Like Incredibles, for some
Yeah.
reason, I don't know why they hit on that so hard, but it's true.
Incredibles
Like if
was a
everyone's the
solid
same in the
movie.
game, if everyone's special, if everyone has an immunity, the Paladin bubble doesn't matter anymore. It's no
Yeah,
longer
dude.
special, like it's a joke, but it used to be significant. But if you give that bubble to
Dude.
everyone, it's no longer significant.
Dude, yeah. Even on the topic of like mounts, right? Everyone has
Yeah.
cool if everyone has the same exact cool mount, I promise you, nobody's gonna ride it.
Yeah.
But
Man, oh, don't get me
but
started on mounts. Kodos used to feel
yeah,
so
dude.
special to Tauren. Like I was like, man, a Kodo, that's my mount. Like I'm a Tauren, so I can ride a Kodo. Everyone can ride a Kodo now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just in your mount collection now. But
Yeah.
dude, we didn't even talk about how there's thinking specific mounts that you could get for your class in Legion. I
Yeah, the
love
class
that.
mounts were
You
great.
get the
I still
class
use my
mount.
Druid one, the flying one.
Yeah, you have the big dragon one as the warrior. You get them in different colors depending on
Yeah.
what specialization you go for your class.
Hmm.
Dude, Nah, it's like, and that mount still feels special to me because I'm like, that's my warrior mount. I have that mount because I did the whole warrior quest line throughout all of Legion, and I am a warrior. You cannot get this
Yep.
mount if you're not a warrior. So it's
You can't
like,
get them out if you're not a
feels
warrior. You
special.
can't get them out if you didn't do Legion all the way through, and you had to do other stuff too. Like if you wanted to
It was
get
a
it now,
lot.
it's
It was
going
a
to take you
grind.
like a couple weeks of doing
Yeah.
stuff to get it.
And honestly, dude, I'll never understand why people hate the grind because I think the grind is such an important part. Like, it's very important that not everyone can do everything. It's so important to me in MMOs because that's what gives things value. If there's no value in the cosmetics, in the items, in the content, if there's no value in any of it in terms of like if everyone can do it, then the MMO feels like a waste of time to play, to me at least.
I'm with you.
Right? Right? Like
That's why
I
you have to
don't
be
know when someone
careful
has
with
that
the
special
store.
mount.
I
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah,
open that
dude,
can
that's
of
why the
worms.
stores. We could talk about that for
Yeah.
literally like 3 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like if I see someone with that really cool mount that I know took way more time to grind than I'll ever have because sadly I have a full-time job, I think that's awesome. That is the
Yeah.
reason why I play an MMO because that person is unique. That person stands out because they have something that actually has value in the community. That's so cool to me. Like, dude, everyone's unique. Everyone's different because the MMO like expresses that. The MMO encourages that. And I think that's so cool. Dude, it's just like I don't know. It's so hard to put into words like the intrinsic value of things in MMOs. It's a very
100%.
weird topic. It's a very like mental thing.
I'm
But
with you.
that's why we play
This is a great
MMOs.
topic. I'm glad that it was
Yeah, I
brought up.
agree.
It was a great question. I think is if you guys have anything else to, let's close out the show. Let's make sure that we touch on the other zones. We're gonna go over more RIOT MMO Raid Bosses in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll continue this conversation in the next one right here in the Brazen Hydra pub in Bilgewater. You can find me at Grove on socials and YouTube.
You can find me at Conquest95 on Twitter.
To stay up to date on the goings on for this podcast specifically, you can follow us at the Brazen Hydra on Twitter, where you can add us questions or just topics for us to talk about. You can also join our Discord. Feel free to give us some topics in there, and you can find us at thebrazenhydra.com. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next one.